And now, Alain Miguelez va maintenant nous présenter Lier la culture avec le plan officiel d'Ottawa. And also a note that we are live streaming this, and we have an online audience also out there. We're up in a partnership with Apartment 613. So we are trying to connect broader than this place right here.
Merci beaucoup, Catherine. Mesdames et messieurs, grazie mille, professora. Non parlo italiano, ma con francese e spagnolo lo saco poquito. Je veux commencer par vous remercier d'être là aussi. Comme urbaniste chargé de l'équipe du plan officiel, c'est un vrai plaisir pour moi de finalement pouvoir participer à quelque chose qui personnellement me tient à cœur, la culture et dans son sens large, ce que ça veut dire pour la ville et l'identité de la ville et l'identité de ses quartiers. As you know, we are looking at a new official plan, and as the mayor mentioned, there's many reasons for that. As I was listening to the previous presentation, it occurred to me that all the steps that were outlined were also corresponding to the city reaching different sizes, different dimensions in population, different levels of demographic diversity and socio-demographic diversity. So there's a number of different layers that always intermingle when we talk about culture in the city. But for a big city like Ottawa, and again, I mean, in the context of Canada, we're a big city. We're the fourth largest and we're the capital. In the global context, we're a mid-sized city. And it's also important to be able to situate ourselves in the cultural landscape beyond us. I think that as we look at the new official plan, we want to get a much better understanding of the various contexts in which we situate ourselves. As was mentioned, I mean, we are the nation's capital, so we have a role to embody Canadian culture in general. And we have federal institutions that do that. The city now has a tagline or a brand that says, you know, we are Canada in one city. And that means culturally as well, all of the country should see itself in Ottawa and in Ottawa-Gatineau as the national capital region. So that's one dimension of culture. To what extent is the country and all of its cultures prepared to endow us with the symbolic role of representing who they are, all the cultures of Canada, Indigenous, English, French, and as well all the cultures of the people who make up our population today, coming from all around the world. Canada is a very unique country in that way, and its demographic composition is changing. And as the capital city of that country, we ought to be a good mirror of our country. So that's one dimension. The next dimension is, as a growing city, as the mayor mentioned, we crossed 1 million population this year, and that's just for the city of Ottawa. The metropolitan area of Ottawa-Gatineau is about 1.5 million. So we're about the size Vancouver was when they hosted Expo 86. On est à peu près la taille de Lyon en France, ou Helsinki en Finlande, ou Dublin, ou Édimbourg. We're the size of cities like Dublin, Amsterdam, Helsinki, and when you think of those cities, you have an instant image of what they are and who they are. They have presence and personality in the world. And that's another dimension that we have to develop, not just as the nation's capital, but as our own city. Who are we on the world stage? And when people think of Ottawa, what's the instant image that comes to mind? We should be instantly recognizable through our personality, and that is expressed through the city's culture, which goes beyond our role as the nation's capital. It's our own culture as a big and growing city. And in turn, that turns into the representation of what makes up our city. We have urban contexts. There is an urban culture. We have suburban contexts. There is a suburban culture. We have rural contexts, and there is a rural culture. And then there's the various cultures and subcultures that make up the city in general, and that pick up on the various sociocultural and ethnic identities. We are on unceded land of the Algonquin Nation. But we should also aspire to hope that all Indigenous peoples from across Canada would see in Ottawa a representation of who they are as their capital, as their symbolic space. And we should aspire to be that place. So place identity is just as important a piece of the construct that is the city's identity. Neighborhoods have identity. Neighborhoods have culture. And there's different types of neighborhoods. As the mayor well said, it's not simply the neighborhood where one particular group of people lives. It's a neighborhood and its history. There are trendy neighborhoods, edgy neighborhoods, stable neighborhoods, transforming neighborhoods, gentrifying neighborhoods. A lot of this is controversial at certain levels, but these things do exist. And culture has different manifestations in those spaces. I think we have to be able to understand those things. So it's a bit of a philosophical introduction into what will become a much more, hopefully, comprehensive understanding of how culture has to color the way we think of the city, plan the city, and put in place the policy framework and the regulations to either enable or get out of the way of the expression that makes up who we are as a city. Alors, heureux de participer au panel et au plaisir d'entendre vos questions. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Alain.